You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Betoota Advocate on Desert Rock FM. Welcome back to the Betoota Advocate radio show here live in the Old City District, downtown Betoota, recording from the Budgie Smuggler studio. You're joined, of course, by myself, Clancy Overall, editor of the Betoota Advocate, and Errol Parker, editor-at-large. With me, how are you, Errol?
Good, mate. Cracking day here in the Diamantina. Not a cloud in the sky. I think that summer's just around the corner. It's warming up.
It's great. We've actually recorded in the Diamantina Shire 1,000 days of zero community transmission of coronavirus. That's been great. We actually haven't had one active case within 1,000 kilometres of here for quite some time.
Oh, no, I think there was 2 cases up there at Inaminka just down the road. But I think they've been able to clear that up.
Yeah, they've been able to isolate and contact trace.
2 more down there at Tibooburra.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, they all got off the Ruby Princess. But today's guest is he's a Queenslander. He's out bush still, but they get a sea breeze where he is in the kind of granite, I guess you'd say granite winery region of.
They're affectionately known as the Queensland ski fields.
Stanthorpe, the home of Billy Moore and the home of Kev Carmody. Thank you for joining us today, Kev.
Thanks for having us. You fellas look like that you've got so many people listening to your program. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's good.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
It's good to do a bit of bush, to bring a bit of bush to everyone too, you know. It's a weird time in the world where we're all learning how to use programs like this, so I appreciate you jumping on the Zoom call as well. In your music, Kev, you're some sort of a, I guess, anthropologist at times, and a lot of your music kind of bounces between different parts of the world, really. You've written about those Logan kids, a lot of your songwriting from up north in the cane fields, and of course, down through Charleville, Julia Creek, syrup and damper and salted corn beef.
Yeah.
You've been all around the place. Where would have you have called home when you look back at your younger years?
Oh, I just suppose Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no place, it was mainly Queensland, because we got better payers drovers in Queensland than we did in New South Wales.
Yep.
Having that connection to the outside world with the radio, listening to the symphony orchestras, because we could get shortwave on this little radio.
Yep.
So we could hear Moscow and hear the Moscow Symphony Orchestra playing Beethoven.
Yeah.
We could hear so much different music, as well as the old hillbilly stuff that in the morning, in the evening time, we'd get the classical stuff. But it gave me a global concept, Fancy, of, it was bigger than what I was seeing. Because I could see the night sky over nighttime and see the whole eternity and infinity of the cosmos. We were isolated and insulated in some ways, because we traveled as a group, and like knowing that it was a real skill it was a real skill, knowing that your home was everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we never had swags. We just had a lump of canvas and 2 old army blankets from the second-hand store. And every day you had to move 8 mile by the permit. They give you a permit. So you had to move that amount. But like seeing little calves born, like the whole of creation.
Yeah.
I wrote that song, I've Been Moved. The lyrics, the first time I always do the music first, then put the lyrics. But this time, on the back of old, breakfast cereal cardboard, I wrote down, I've been moved by the wind upon the waters and the shadows as the leaves are blown. And then the second verse is about our eldest son when he was born. Like, I've been moved by the crying of the newborn. And also, not only the humans being born, but the little calves being born on the road. And they can't make that stage, that 8 bloody mile. So you'd have to pick them up. And boy, some of them old cows, mate, boy, oh boy, when they coming at you, those old Herefords, boy, they were bloody wild old buggers. Mum had put the afterbirth on her arms, so that the old cow wouldn't, she could do anything with them calves. She put them in the truck, take them along the stage till they could learn to walk proper. She'd take them along to the lunchtime stage, pull them out of the truck so that the old cow could, the old cow would learn that the calf was in the truck. She'd run up and Mum would pick the calf up, take it out, put it on the ground. The old cow wouldn't even bloody bother her, because she had the smell of the afterbirth on her.
Yeah, right.
Old cow could smell that, and she trusted Mum. But boy, us fellas, we go near, boy, you'll be round the other side of the bloody truck running.
Yeah.
I'll carry it, you know. But there was that beauty of the whole universe. As a kid, I just thought, wow, this is phenomenal. And then listening to the music, the way it was put together, and like just the smell of the horses and stuff like that. All your senses were aware, and you didn't have the sounds of trucks and bloody the urban sounds. I mean, when I go to Sydney, how you fellas exist down there with that background. No, oh, but you don't. You're at Betoota.
Yeah.
You see, you're right, mate.
Yeah.
You're right. You fellas would have to take these fellas from Sydney and take them up to Betoota.
Yeah.
And take the earphones off them and that, and just let them listen to the sounds of the universe.
Yeah. And the same with
What do you reckon?
the light pollution and the stars and all that kind of stuff that all kind of informed your writing.
Oh, look, Kenji, I tell you what freaked me out when I first went to Sydney, which is in 1988. I got a lift down on 30-ton truck of bloody seafood. Got a lift from Clontarf, just north of Brisbane, with Cliffy.
Yeah.
Boy, Cliffy was something else, mate. He had 30 tons, but oh shit, he did the run every week. And I turned up with a guitar and a little bloody case, a little port, and he took me right, but he smoked.
Yeah.
See, and he smoked that other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You see, and that's the first time I bloody smelled it. And bloody hell, mate. You crossed the Maclean River with a 30-tonner coming the opposite way. And here he is, like, happy as Larry. You know, he got bloody 30 centimetres between him and the other bar. Shit.
On the, what they call it, the Riverina Rolly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. But anyway, we get to bloody Sydney at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we unloaded. I helped him unload at the fish markets there. And he'd give me, in a 30-tonner, it was empty, of course, but he'd give me a Uber ride in the 30-tonner down Broadway, and I had to meet this bloke at the Broadway Hotel.
Yeah.
You know, they're opposite Grace Brothers, or the old, is it still there?
Yeah, I think it's a Westfield.
Yeah, well, that's Shepherd Street. That's where I had to meet the fellow. So I sat on a bloody milk crate. Cliffy dropped me off right there. Like it was like a taxi ride in a 30-tonner. And I sat there looking at this road, and I thought, holy bloody hell, this is Progress Freeway, mate. This is unbelievable. Because, like, just watching the city wake up from about 5 o'clock onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, because they all thought I was a derelict or something sitting there.
Yeah.
But they saw the guitar, but I suppose they thought, well, he's got some money. He hasn't worn that.
In your writing, you talk about the deep north and the cane fields, and you kind of talk about this egalitarian society you lived in with I mean, Slim Dusty sang about it, men of all nations and places. What was that like in the cane fields? Was that as a droving family, or was your family involved in the sugar cane?
No, well, see, Mum being Indigenous and Dad being Irish, they couldn't get married in southern Queensland because it was against the law, right? So they went up to Cairns, back to my grandfather was born in the bush before the turn of the 20th century, in the middle of Lakefield National Park.
Right.
Right up on the Cape. Yeah. Crocodile country, mate. Yeah. Crocodile Dundee. You want to watch out if you go up there. But anyway, that's where they went to get married. So Dad was a volunteer in the Second World War. He got out, he married Mum, and they went up. They got married in Cairns because it was really multicultural then. And Dad worked in the sugar mill, shoveling bloody coal into the big furnaces for the Mulgrave sugar mill.
Right.
And he got his steam ticket, because we could get rides on the little cane train, the little steam trains. But then him and his dad, they had a block of land down in southern Queensland that they rented off the government, and the government said in 1950, unless you come back to the block of land, because we were 4 years in Cairns, unless you come back, we're going to take it off you. Our Dad and Mum came back, and Dad used to do all the work for the stations, and like fencing and droving and mustering and branding. It was all contract them days.
Yep.
For the big stations. And that's how we come down to southern Queensland. But like we used to do as a family, because we're only a small unit, we used to do the smaller droving trips, 800 mile max. We wouldn't even get 800, probably 600 mile. But that's the way we made a living, and we used this block of land as a place to run the horses and milking cows and stuff like that. But yeah, like it was multicultural fancy up in Cairns. There was Maltese, there was Yugoslavs, there was bloody Greeks, there was Italians. Yeah, it was multicultural. We learned about garlic, we learned about bloody chili, we learned about tomatoes, all that sort of stuff because of the immigrants that had come in after the Second World War.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And that's and I actually did the last hand cut of cane at the Nambour Sugar Mill.
Right.
Just north of Brisbane.
Yeah.
That's a bloody hard job, but Jesus, good money.
Yeah.
Up there in
she's good money.
Kevin Rudd country there.
Yeah, look, I never bloody saw him on the cane knife.
No, you probably wouldn't.
He didn't come from the floor, that bloke.
Mate, where did music start to find a place in your life? Was it around sort of this time, or was it something that come a bit later?
No, look, it was always there. It was always there, as I said, that extension from listening to this, the symphony orchestra in bloody Austria or wherever on the shortwave radio.
Yep.
To the, the country in West. We became country and western, the old hillbilly music. I just thought it was a great way of expressing yourself because it was a way of recording stuff too, like the Droven Woman one. That's 3 stories put together. One part there where the bloke gets given the horse. That's what they do. You'd go past a big station, the horse breaker would break in the horses. They'd always come out to the drover camp of a night time, but they'd give you horses to quieten and to teach them how to, work stock and that. Best way to do it's behind a bloody mob of cattle, same old thing day after day after day, and you'd quieten them and they'd know their job. And then you drop the horse on the way back. So we'd get free bloody horses and they'd get them quietened.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'd get a horse that somebody tried to break its spirit.
Yeah.
Whipped it, give it a flogging. And man, some of them, Jesus, you'd have a rodeo every bloody morning you got on them. And you'd have to watch them because they'd go all right for a full day. Then after lunchtime, next thing, boy, you were bloody that pig jumping all over the place. And when you least expected it, So you'd get a bad one occasionally, and that's in that Droven Woman song. That's what happened to the fellow because a fair few people got hurt or killed.
Bit like a dingo. You never know when it's going to turn.
Well, that's the thing. They're smarter than the average dog.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you decided that you might like to try and start making some music of your own?
Well, look, that's the thing. It was about Grandma and Granddad gave us these little 3/4 guitars when we were about 10 or 11. And they were just bloody, plywood bloody things. But our uncle, he taught us a few chords on it. But the thing was, I heard these old blues fellas, again on the ABC, heard these fellas playing and thought, Jesus, they don't need a bloody band like Elvis. They don't need a band like bloody, Hank Williams or whatever. They could play the rhythm, the lead, and the bass by themselves. I thought, bloody hell, I've got to learn how to do this because then you don't need a band. And anyway, I was telling somebody this as well. We used to treat on the road drove in the rubbish dumps. We used to treat them as open-air supermarkets. Yeah. So, the little country towns, they just throw the bloody rubbish all over the bloody stock route. But we pick up the bolts, we pick up the nails, we pick up the bloody sheets iron and roll up the bloody wire and everything because we'd use it, back home. Tell you what, the other thing is when they put grids in, one time you had to get out, open the gate up, put the cattle through and everything. And or if you were driving a motor car, if you had the money to have a motor car, you had to get out, open the gate, go on 8 Mile, next bloody gate, open it up. They put in these things called grids. Well, holy bloody hell, didn't we get some hubcaps? Because when these old bloody cars, the old Hudsons and the bloody Chevs, when they hit the bloody grids for the first time, when they first put them in, there'd be bloody hubcaps 100 metres down the bloody road in the bush. We'd be picking them up. They make good things for, watering your dog and feeding your dog and that.
They weren't made of plastic. They weren't made of plastic. No.
Yeah, but anyway, in this bloody one of these rubbish dumps, I found a bloody book, and it said teach yourself the guitar. Now, I thought that was pretty good. It wasn't, I'm going to teach you the guitar, or, you can learn the guitar. It was saying you can bloody learn it yourself. But it was wet. You see, the book was wet. So I took it back to the campfire and over a while, I dried it out. But I learnt then basically how to play with the 4 fingers, so you can play your bass, your rhythm, and you don't need a band. Helps to have a band, but I've never had one. So that's where a song like Cannot Buy My Soul come from. That guitar piece in there was a little piece I made up to try and exercise this pattern with my fingers.
Yeah.
And then I just put words to it, and Archie sings it, and I'm never going to sing it again, I don't think, because he just did such a beautiful job of that. God, that voice.
That's what we're saying with these albums you released, where you've kind of got all your friends and different artists from around the country singing your songs. Were there many songs like that where you kind of thought, geez, they've done a good job here? I mean, personally, I'd say Troy Cassadaly singing On the Wire, that's the best of the two of you coming together there.
Oh, look, Troy, that man. And just, you can feel that he feels the lyrics in that song. And I just, again, it's one of those songs that, God, am I ever going to sing this again? Because it's like all the tracks on there. I don't know, it takes me to another level, because it's just like these new ones coming on with these younger ones, reinterpreting the stuff, using a basic theme, but also putting their own lyrics to it. It's making it new again to the younger ones. And I can sit back behind the lounge chair now and just say, oh, yeah, gee, you fellas can keep going. I can keep writing them here. Because it does fire me up to keep writing, because I had nothing to do with the first album. The first compilation, Paulie Kelly did the lot.
Yeah, right.
He just sent through the thing. Oh, here's Tex Perkins singing this, and here's Troy Cassadaly singing. Here's Johnny Butler playing a bit of slide.
Paul goes, I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, and then like in this one, it's Sean, his partner. Sean and him are doing it, and because they said, oh, you've got to listen to the LP, the vinyl. I haven't got a bloody vinyl player here. So Paul had to do it and listen to see if there's any bloody scratches or whatever on it. Because the only last time I saw a vinyl was when the Rappers started and they were scratching the bloody, the thing like this. And I thought, geez, you're stuffing up a bloody good bloody record there, mate. What are you doing?
We've interviewed Paul Kelly a couple of times, and he's all around. Whether he's in St Kilda or he's in King's Cross or he's in wherever he is in the world. You seem to spend a lot more time in the bush, and you do a lot of your music. A lot of your music's made in the bush. How do you kind of exist around the kind of industry side of music? Does it come to you? It feels like that, because Paul is on the road a lot. Oh
yeah. Well, the music side of things, like I knew that what I was writing. I mean, I never started recording until I was over 40-year-old.
Yeah.
I just knew that it wasn't going to bloody work. Commercially, forget it. And I was never going to make video clips, no way. So what used to happen was, I got to Queensland Uni, would you believe they let me in? Triple Z radio station was at the uni.
Yeah.
And they had a 1-hour session of blackfellow music, run by Rossi Watson. He was a mate of mine, so I'd just come down with the guitar. We'd have a yarn like we're having like this, and I'd say, oh, look here, I've got a new song. It's called Thou Shalt Not Steal, and I'd just play it live to air, but he'd record it on a 1/4-inch tape, then he'd put it on the cassette, then he'd send it to his mob, Tiger Bales down in Radio Redfern, who would then put it on the cassette, send it to Triple R in bloody Melbourne, who would then send it to bloody Broome, who would then send it to Northern Territory.
Bummer Bibra in Cairns.
Yeah, everywhere. Before I ever actually officially recorded the songs, they were out amongst the bloody community radio stations for years.
Yeah. The Murray radio stations, some of the oldest in the country, aren't they? In terms of ongoing community setups.
Yeah.
When did you start? I mean, we just spoke with the label executive before helping us set up the Zoom call. When did you start meeting people like that?
Miriam. Oh boy, she's helped us like anything.
When did you start meeting people like Miriam?
Oh well, only about crikey, a couple of months ago.
No, I'm talking about like in terms of working with the people from the the music industry. When did you first start meeting people like her?
Way back. Let's say about 1989, 88. I think the first album came out. Yeah, on vinyl. According to the label, it didn't sell much at all.
Yep.
But there again, I was so fortunate. I didn't have access to a phone for about 8 years because of the special branch with Jockey Peterson's regime in bloody Queensland.
They had you tapped.
So I didn't know what was going on. But, mate, he was something else, that fella.
Well,
He was something else. But anyway,
he had you tapped, did he? Is that what you're saying? You weren't using the phone?
oh, no bloody fear. That's right. His special branch, we caused a lot of people to have a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to sit up all night on the telephone listening till somebody picked it up and said, Mr. Bajaki Peterson is not a very nice person, or your police commissioner is bloody corrupt. You had to watch what you were saying.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They'd probably be a bit happier if you were giving them race tips for Eagle Farm.
Yeah. I'm telling them where the local ladies of the night dwell because Russ Hinn's the minister for everything.
Yeah.
And brown paper bags full of bloody money.
The joker.
He said there was no ladies of the night in Queensland. there definitely wasn't.
He just drove down Wickham Street with his eyes closed.
Dead right. Yeah. We won't say any names now because we might wind up in trouble. There's a few of them still alive, mate. I can tell you.
There's one working for the Department of Home Affairs right now, I think.
Look out! You'll be put off air, and I'll have the cufflinks.
You'll have to throw the phone away again.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
So you got access to a phone eventually after the Joe era wrapped up, and then that's when you started kind of talking to people that could kind of cut a few records for you.
Yeah, we paid for the first Pillars of Society ourselves, but the big thing, my friend, was Bruce Elder from Sydney Morning Herald did a review that I didn't know about, but apparently, it was just he just said it was really good music. Okay, and then next thing, I've got all these people bloody sending me letters and notes and stuff because, I had no telephone, and I was actually squatting at Queensland Uni. Don't tell anybody. I was squatting, I put my bloody mattress behind the bloody filing cabinet in there. As a postgraduate student, I had a room in a house that had a stove, it had a bloody a bathroom, it had everything in it. So why not utilise it? Which I did. It was a halfway house for the women too.
Yeah, right.
If they got in trouble of a night time going from the university to the West End Ferry, they could race into my little place where I was, squatting. Yeah. Anyway, what else could I tell you?
Have they still got any grapes in Stanthorpe?
Oh, Jesus, yeah. There's no peaches, there's no nectarines, there's apples and there's pears still left, but yet, no, God, wine and cheese.
Yeah, right. But one thing I wanted to ask, Kev, is when did you meet Paul Kelly? Because that seems like a pivotal moment in both your careers. We've interviewed Paul a few times, and he's pretty vague. He's just talking about, we wrote that song around a campfire one night. I was like, well, where did you blokes meet? Because, he's an Adelaide boy via Melbourne.
Yes.
And Hobart.
Yeah.
Boys, I don't really have a home. I like to travel around.
Oh, geez. Bloody hell. He's having us on with that one.
Yeah.
No, well, the thing is, I was working with the marginalised kids, down in Logan City.
Yeah.
Working there with them, and his brother, Martin, was working with the kids, and also his other brother, Tony.
Yeah, right.
So Martin and Tony, and then his mum, Kelly, she used to help with the food and that, with these marginalised kids, because we used to go into the parks of a night time and just interact with these kids doing artworks and goodness knows what all. But I knew his mum and his two brothers and his mum before I actually knew him. When I first went to Sydney, they took me to this thing called the Enmore Theatre, and I was up the top part. They put me I was up in the bloody, I don't know what they call it,
mezzanine,
dress circle or something. mezzanine, the place where you fall from. But anyway, I was sitting there and then in this row, and then this bloke that took me said, "Oh, that's Paul Kelly up there."
Right.
And I said, "Oh yeah, who's that?" Because we were looking at the go-betweens.
Yeah,
See,
right.
the go-betweens. They took me to see the go-betweens, and Paul was in the audience. But anyway, after that, they took us around to the back, to the side, and Paul was there. And that's where I sort of first, I said, yeah, okay, well, I knew him. But then he got in contact with me after the first album came out in 1988. Excuse me. And then he came up with his young son Declan, and we took him camping.
Yeah, right.
He came up on the bus, or he came up on the train. And then we took him to a big waterhole camping with our mob. And I had one of those old Land Rover troop carriers.
Troopies.
Yeah.
Every bugger's jammed into the back. So went to this place that just opened up called Wivenhoe Dam, and that's when we really got together for the first time and actually started going jang jang.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He writes extremely quickly. You got to pull him up. Whoop 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 whoop. He goes so fast, mate. He's an excellent writer. He's just unbelievable. Like the topics that he writes on, are just so huge, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you wrote From Little Things, Big Things Grow, the two of you, or was that?
Yeah, because I had a sort of a bit of an idea, and very boring chord progression, and I switched it from the mandolin to the banjo, and he got it on the guitar, and he had this concept of, relationship thing between one-on-one. From this small thing, it's grown into something really big, and what happened with the song was, it turned into a cultural love song.
Yeah.
Because I said, like, it's great, the chord progression's boring, but it'd be great to tell a story with. That's what happened. I just told him that the thing that really sort of took us, or our interest, was walking in on the camp one night. Mum just said, I just listened to the ABC News there, and Gringy Mob just walked off Vesti Station.
Yeah.
We thought, holy bloody hell, this is what? This is 1966. Like, they're going to bloody shoot them, or they're going to wind up with the bloody cuffs on, like looking out through the pigeonhole. They're going to log them up.
Yeah.
So I told Paul about that, and he got interested, and all of a sudden it happened, and it was on the back burner. Believe me, as Paul will tell you, it was just a filler. We just thought, okay, that's it.
So you didn't.
I couldn't record it.
You didn't think, we'll be singing this at Gough Whitlam's funeral one day.
Oh shit, no, no way. And then Dingo played the didge on it.
Yeah,
because he happened to be around.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, because Ernie's coming up here in a few weeks' time. But yeah, no, that's what happened. Is it was just virtually a filler, and I couldn't record it because the old man passed away. Yeah. So Gumajai, I couldn't culturally say the name for 2 years. Yeah. So my recording of it was just, it really wasn't a proper recording. It was just we were doing something for a bloody TV mob, and they just happened to flick the switch, and me and Paul and the Titters were singing it.
Yeah, right.
It was for TV, but I've never actually done a proper recording of it. But yeah, well, I just felt so proud to be there with Nolly Pearson and the orchestra, and that at that memorial for Gough, because we really did think that, he started off something for us mob.
Did you see much of that as a young man up in the top of Australia? I mean, the Lord Vesti idea of an aristocrat from overseas owning land was happening in the Gulf as well at some point too, with these families from London and Scotland were sight unseen owners of a cattle station.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Yeah.
We're right back with Dad and that. Like, Dad worked for Kidman.
Yeah.
And they had heaps of stations, mainly where the good water was.
Yep.
And when they got rain, they'd move, as they'd move the cattle between the water holes and fatten them on the way down. It was the long paddock.
Yeah.
It was a long paddock. And boy, we got some of those Kimberley bloody bullocks, 5-year-old bullocks. They were like racehorses. Hey, big fellas, those short horns. They're all Zebu, what they call them, Brahman now.
Yeah.
Zebu. Them days they were short horns.
Yeah.
But they were bloody big buggers. And boy, you're all right while you're on a horse, but boy, you get off one foot and holy bloody hell, you were gone.
In the round yard with them.
You're dead right, my friend. You're right.
Yeah, I've spent some long days in the round yard, and I didn't have a pole. I was just there with my hat going, shoo, shoo, get in there, you bastard.
Or a lump of polythene, and you watch that big bull. Yeah. You just watch him lift his head up with those big ears, the zebu mob.
Yeah.
Flick his ears at you. He's watching you, and then he put his head down. Next thing you see, he's over here, bloody like 30 bloody meters away or 20 meters away. Yeah, you're watching, and you're keeping and you're keeping that rail real close.
Yeah.
You know the rails of the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there before. No, well, the Vesties had to hand back a whole heap of land in Venezuela, I think, about 15 years ago. They had to hand it back to Chavez.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, my friend, that they had the contract for the British Allied forces.
Yeah.
In the war, and they supplied all the bloody meat, and like they were paying a peppercorn for land, you know, right across the top of Northern Australia and everywhere else.
Yeah. Like
it was off the bloody planet, and you know the conditions were atrocious. I mean, at least our family, we were a unit, and Dad did the being Irish, or being Irish descent. He did the negotiating for the job, and we only had one bank account.
Right.
So that Uncle, and my brother and myself and all of us, we all paid in. So if one fellow had a job, mustering or branding, the other fellow had a job wool pressing, or it all got paid into the one bloody account.
Right.
So that every bugger had a bit of something.
Yeah.
But when you look at what Vesties, like...
It's the same with the Vesties, because all those kids are pulling out of the same account, aren't they?
Oh, shit, you're dead right. You're bloody dead right. We should go over and say, look, Mr. Vesty, now, I don't want to sort of point things out, but like, I've just added it up on my calculator, and you've had, it was 300 square miles. So okay.
Yeah.
And we multiply that out, and this is what you bloody owe us, mate.
Yeah.
Because the calculator would be waving a white flag.
Yeah.
Because the decimal point would be so bloody far to the right that it'd be off the calculator. Where does he live? He lives in England. We should go over. Well, we should take Betoota over there.
Yeah, we'll go find him. There's this famous book written by John Anderson. He's a former journalist up there with the Townsville Bulletin, and he wrote a book called Bagman Millionaire. It's about a lot of those old families up in the Gulf, the scrappers, and a lot of the kind of Murray stockmen perhaps maybe did end up with a few beasts that belonged to Vesty and built an empire off them.
That was the thing you'd often come across. See, as you know, in the old days, the stock routes were called 10 chain wide. They were 10 cricket pitches wide, right? Yeah. Way over in the bush there somewhere, you'd be riding along on a bloody horse. You'd find this dead beast, right? And it'd been there for five bloody months. But the hide would still be there, and it'd be pulled around and that. But you'd find that it only had 2 legs. Yeah, because that's when the chainsaw come in.
Yeah.
That's what they'd do, is they'd run the bloody bullock out, cut the throat, down it'd go, okay. Then they'd get the chainsaw real quick and zoom it down the bloody centre after they gutted it.
Yeah.
Take that half of the bloody beast, that was their meat, and then just leave the hide and the thing and say, oh, no, the dingo pulled it round like that. That's why it only got 2 legs. But they'd be pinching the bloody meat, mate.
Yeah. Well, nowadays they just load them onto a truck in the middle of the night.
Oh, Jesus, they're getting good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have got a job in the stock squad.
Yeah.
Because we could track. We could track, and why didn't they give us black fellas a job in the stock squad instead of putting those fellas from bloody Queen Street, Brisbane in there?
Queen Street farmers.
Yeah, that's right. They're like the Vesty mob. Wouldn't have a bloody clue which end of the bullock farted.
Now, tell us, with this new release, you've any other time outside of this virus, you'd be maybe putting on a show or doing a bit of a tour?
Oh,
Or is that all over for you, mate?
Just about. I mean, my back's buggered from lumping bloody, wheat bags and that when I was a young fella.
Yeah.
I've had 3 operations on my back, my friend.
Yeah.
I love getting on stage and talking to people, but this whole celebrity business just gives me the bloody scours.
Yeah.
I do pop up occasionally, like I did down at Tamworth. See, the first time I went to Tamworth that day, that was 40-odd years ago, with a motorbike and sidecar and a guitar and a little swag. I went down to Tamworth, and they didn't like me.
Right.
Because they said, first of all, I didn't have a permit, and secondly, they didn't like or understand what I was singing about.
You needed a permit?
So I went out to... Yeah, this was years ago. This is back, on the street. I was busking.
Oh, like you're driving
but
again.
I went out to Katingle. And played with these folk group mob and all that. And I went back this year because Paul was playing at it and Barnesy and them. And they said, come down, and we stayed down there. And, I got on stage for the first time at Tamworth.
Yeah, right.
Only for one song. And then all of a sudden I heard these people singing the chorus. I looked across the stage, and here was Troy, and there was Barnesy.
Right.
There was Casey. Casey was there. They got their mic, and they were singing the chorus.
Right.
So it went pretty good. But they didn't kick me off this second time, so I was right.
You didn't need a permit either.
I only did the one song, though. Well, Paul did half it anyway, so I was all right.
You were just there for the scenery in Tamworth.
Yeah. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you got to do though when you're going to play. Go and see the sound puller.
Yep.
Have a good yarn to him. See what's going on. They're always good blokes. Go and talk to the roadies, because without them, you haven't got a bloody clue on stage. They can make you look like a dickhead.
One story we ran on Betoota is a small band's kind of setting up for one of their first gigs in the back of a pub, and the soundie goes, tell you what, mate, it wasn't like this was when I was on the road with Akadaka. I don't know about this operation, mate.
Jesus. They're always pulling it. Hey.
They've always got a yarn. Always got a name to drop.
Yeah. Well, look, this is another thing too. I was just thinking, the wife's saying something there. She's doing this sort of thing.
You have to wrap it up.
Oh, we could go on for ages, you mom.
We'll have to come visit. Stanthorpe. We'll come say g'day.
Yeah. As I said, we don't drink, but you fellas can have a bloody ton of fun here, mate. You'll be wobbly knee before you get to the third one.
Yeah.
Third wine.
They were saying, just lastly, I'd say they brought in phone reception to Windora about 2 years ago. So just the little town of Windora gets the 3G. And the publican was ropeable. He thought he was going to lose all the business because people are going to stop coming to the pub to talk to each other. He thought when they bring mobiles into town, it was going to send him broke.
Well, it would. That's right. Because that's where you went to the pub to get your jobs and everything. Oh, sorry, I'm getting the wind up. To get your jobs, to know the gossip that was going on. And don't tell you that the bloody blokes aren't gossips. Believe me, you walk into the pub and get some old fella, your bloody hero. You'll lose your bloody hearing with them. They gossip like hell.
Well,
okay, you fellas, good to catch you.
Thanks for joining us today. It's been a great yarn, and good luck with the new release, hey?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, look, thanks so much, you fellas.
No worries.
We need you blokes. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny.